Hey everybody, here we are again. Today, still on behavior, grade 11, unit 2, animal behavior still. And today we shall see this topic that you observe here, patterns of behavior. Uh, Still we are talking about the innate behaviors, patterns of behavior, talks about innate behaviors, a little bit complicated, complex, innate behaviors that to have some sort of stepwise processes beginning to the end, elaborate process behavioral patterns, behavioral activities. Therefore, let's go into the topic. Okay, let's start from the answering this question. What is a behavior pattern? A behavior pattern is an organized segment of behavior having a special function. Say, for example, courtship behavior pattern or territorial behavior pattern that organisms show. They first build the territory and defend it. All these are under the territorial behavior patterns or courtship, mate selection, and leads to reproduction. Therefore, behavior pattern is an organized segment of behavior having special function. Say, courtship for effective reproduction. Say, territoriality to ensure the resources and the space, the natural resources in the territory, not shared by others, intruders coming from any other territory or any other environment. Therefore, it has its own adaptive value. All behaviors do have their own adaptive value. So therefore, what is a behavior pattern? Then behavior pattern is an organized segment of behavior having a special function, specific function. It is natural or instinctive and species specific or call specific way of performing specific function or activity. We have said that it's instinctive or it is natural or it's innate behavior, and it it functions a particular specialized function, and it is a species specific way of performing an activity, an action, or certain specific function. And therefore, there are many different types of behavior patterns. Examples of behavior patterns in animals include territoriality, as I've tried to tell you earlier. Territoriality, one behavior pattern. Communication for various purposes. Communication is one other behavior, ways of communication, behavior pattern. Altruism or altruistic behavior patterns. These are self-sacrificing behaviors by which animals sacrifice themselves for the other members of the species, like the mother sacrificing itself in order to protect its kids or its chicks in case of birds, of course. Self-sacrificing behavior, which is costly to the performer, but it saves the other member of the group. We will see this also briefly. The other is behavioral cycle. There are cyclic patterns that repeat over a fixed period of time. Cyclic patterns like day and night, being active at night, and some animals being active at night, and some other animals being active at daytime. This is cyclic behavior pattern. Reproductive behaviors, including courtship. The other is social behaviors. When animals are living together, there are social interactions, social behaviors, especially in those insects which are known as eusocials, the true socials like honeybees. You can see level of division of labor also, social behavior, the true social behavior is observed in such social insects like honeybees, termites, ants, which to have different individuals who is assigned for different activities, division of labor. The other behavior pattern example is competition. Competition. organisms compete for resources, animals compete for resources, there is this behavior. How do they compete? And there are behavior patterns, instinctive behavior patterns that are set for this competition. Now, let's dive into the other aspect of this. One behavior pattern, let's see behavioral cycles or cyclic behavior patterns are uh, responses by an animal to periodic changes in the environment, like day and night periodic change. Some examples listed here are circadian cycles. For circadian cycles are cycles that repeat within 24 hours period. That means day, then night comes. Day, then night comes. The night has 12 hours and the day has 12 hours, totally 24 hours. Therefore, such cycles, circadian cycles or circadian rhythms, occur within 24-hour period. The other seasonal cycles like winter, summer seasons. There are repeating cycles. Reproduction in some birds happens seasonally. There are reproductive seasons. During these reproductive seasons, these birds show reproductive behavior. They begin by nest building or migrating to reproductive ground somewhere else. They may go, uh, prefer to go to some other place for suitable for reproduction. Therefore, circadian cycles are cycles that repeat within 24 hours. Seasonal cycles are happening seasonally, either twice annually or four times annually, whatever. And circadian rhythm, 24-hour cycle. Circadian rhythm, Latin circa, about, and dies means a day, within a day. Thus, circadian rhythms are rhythms or cycles that occur within 24 hours period. Uh, Circadian rhythms, also known as biological clock, circadian rhythm is also known as biological clock, is part of the body's internal clock, running in the background to carry out essential functions and processes. For example, after actively moving during the daytime, when night comes, you may feel sleepy because the biochemistry of your brain changes and it's time for rest, no activity. And therefore, you are active during the day and you sleepy. There are some animals which are active, of course, at night. Most animals are active during the daytime. They feed, they move, they find for food, and they reproduce. Whatever their activities are done during the daytime. Therefore, circadian rhythm, also known as biological clock, is part of the body's internal clock. The body knows and the body reacts to the change in the environment. When it becomes night, dark, your brain secretes chemicals, or some other glands in the brain secrete chemicals that keep you sleepy so that you will sleep during the day, during the night time. Therefore, this is internal biological clock. The Many animals exhibit daily behavior cycles tied to the 24-hour day-night cycle. Many animals exhibit, of course, this 24-hour cycle, which is known as circadian rhythm. Activities like feeding, sleeping, movement often follow this pattern. Yes, I have tried to tell you such activities. Fending for life, just feeding or finding for food, sleeping, movement for various purposes, even migration, often follow this pattern. Of course, migration could be seasonal, but uh, if the migration is not that distant, if the organisms are going in a nearby environment to find for food from their nest, when the time comes down, just the beginning of the night shift, they, before it becomes dark, they uh, just start the trip back to home. Examples of the circadian rhythms are nocturnal animals that are active at night. This is one type of circadian rhythm. These animals are active at night, nocturnal, like hyena and some other. Owl is also nocturnal. She hunts. She can. She the owl has a good sight in a dim light or in the dark. Also, the owl uses other senses, not only its sight or eyes, also other senses, so that it can perfectly hunt for its prey in the dark. Diurnal animals like humans they are active at daytime during the day. There are special types of animals known as crepuscular animals. These are active during dawn and dusk, just before it becomes night, dawn, and just before it becomes day, dusk. ምሽትና ንጋት ማለት ነው። Reproductive cycles, other types of cycles, like cyclic behaviors, reproductive cycles. Species often have specific times or seasons when they engage in mating behaviors. Yep, seasons. If you say dogs do have mating seasons, the only non-seasonal, of course, animal maybe human being, and sometimes dolphins are also dolphins met all over there anytime. Mating seems a way of enjoyment for dolphins and humans, of course. Otherwise, reproductive cycles for reproduction, we do have cyclic. I mean, animals do have cyclic reproductive behaviors. The species often have specific times or seasons when they engage in mating behavior, mating, then reproduction. This could involve courtship display, mating rituals, or migration to breeding grounds. Yep, as I've told you, you see, all these specific behaviors are generally leading to what is known as reproductive behaviors, and these reproductive behaviors could be, of course, cyclic. They do have seasons, reproductive seasons, reproductive months. If you talk about crocodiles usually reproduce the in April, May, June. These months are specifically important as far as reproduction in crocodiles is concerned. Therefore, you see, you do have some time in the year where these animals reproduce, then it repeats. Just each year it repeats the same reproductive behavior they show in that particular time of the year, and therefore this is reproductive cycle. This could involve courtship display, mating rituals, or migration to breeding grounds, of course, in that particular season. Seasonal migration. Some animals exhibit cyclic behaviors related to migration, moving from one habitat to another. This is just usually this is when one environment is not suitable or becomes harsh because of change of the climate in particular season, so that no food to feed, no food to eat, so that they will migrate in search of food or in search of water. Long distance migration goes in the aves or the bird group, and as well as the other carnivorous, herbivorous animals, especially herbivorous animals. Birds, fish, insects, mammals may migrate in search of better feeding grounds, yes, breeding sites, or more suitable climates. You see, they may migrate even when the climate is harsh. They have to migrate, change more suitable climate area to survive. Therefore, these are seasonal migrations. These are also behavior patterns. Other seasonal cycles, hibernation, estivation, are also seasonal cycles. Hibernation is when animals go into deep sleep because of the fact that the climate is extremely cold. In that extremely cold habitat or environment, if they actively move that extreme cold may decrease their body temperature and may kill the animals. Therefore, they go into deep sleep, dormancy, until that extreme cold environment situation passes away. This is therefore seasonal cyclic behavior. Once or more than twice, an animal may go into a state of dormancy known as hibernation against very cold environmental conditions. The other is opposite one is estivation, when animals go into deep sleep because the environment is very much hot. So that moving in that harsh hot environment condition is fatal. It can kill the animal. So they find a cooler underground burrow or a cave, and they sleep by reducing their metabolic rates to the minimum, basal metabolic rate, the minimum, so that they use the energy reserve in their body in the form of fat until that harsh, very hot condition passes away. Survival mechanism, this is survival. Therefore, these are seasonal cycles also. Reproductive behaviors, let us see reproductive behaviors elaborately. Reproductive behavior encompasses a range of activities. If we are asked what are specific behaviors included under reproductive behavior, it encompasses a range of activities employed by animals to facilitate mating and ensure the continuation of their species. It's a matter of reproduction. Without reproduction, living organisms go into extinction. Thanks for reproduction, we do have living organisms in our planet, because every living organism is mortal. There is death, and unless reproduction replaces the dying, extinction may follow. Therefore, what are these activities included under reproductive behavior? One is courtship, you know it. Courtship for locating and selecting suitable mates. Courtship is used. Just the male and the female come together. Usually the male uses many communicative language, body movement, that is gesture, body movement gesture, or auditory, sound, olfactory, or some chemicals may be released, especially in the insect world and some mammals, of course, in order to attract, impress the female, so that they will come together for copulation, then they rear their offspring. Therefore, courtship is to locating and selecting suitable mates, then copulation follows. After copulation, producing offspring, then after producing offspring, the parental care follows. Parental care, they care for the offspring until the offspring fends for itself. You see, sometimes both the mother and the father cooperate together to care for the young. The other is pair bonding is also there. Pair bonding in some animals, once through courtship and through reproduction, they build togetherness. The bond, that bond may break after rearing their kids. In some, it's temporary, so that another time these two may find another partners and proceed the process of reproduction. In some others, the pair bond may be eternal. That means until death, of course. Once they bond, once they become husband and wife, this is forever until their death. Permanent bonding, pair bonding. Therefore, pair bonding is also part of this courtship behavior. There are birds which come together for life. More on courtship, let's say more on courtship. Courtship is the set of special behaviors animals display to attract mates, such as songs, dances, bright colors, sounds, scents or some sort of olfactory chemical released. And you do have the visual display, something that the animals observe with their sight sense, with their eyes. This visual display, many species use visual cues or visual signs to attract a mate. This can involve vibrant colors, elaborate body postures, or movements, even dances are there. The other is vocalization, sound. Animals often use sounds and calls as part of their courtship rituals. Vocalization is also or vocalization or auditory by using the sound uh, by using ears listening to the sound produced. And others, gift giving. Some species of birds, the male provides a gift to the female during courtship. If she if she finds the gift delicious, usually food gift, it's not of course other material, of usually it's food. The male may select the most delicious source of food and bring this as a gift to the female. If the female finds the food is delicious and accepts the food, she may say okay for reproduction. Then they may undergo they conduct copulation, and that the game will be continued until they rear their offspring. The other dances and movements gesture. Certain animals perform intricate dances or movements as part of courtship. Yes, pheromones release. These are olfaction. Pheromones. These are chemicals produced in the form of usually gases, so that the male can smell it and goes towards the other partner, the female. These are the ways by which courtship happens, of course, in animals. The other aggressive courtship, there is aggressive courtship. In some species, courtship involves aggressive behaviors, forcefully. Of course, these are very rare, very few. The others, building and nesting. Some birds build their nests and invite the female partner. The males construct nests, build their nests, and invite the female to see their engineering work. And the female finds their engineering construction, the nest, excellent. She may say okay for reproduction to be partner. Therefore, there is building and nesting is also part of this courtship behavior. For example, if you see the behavior of stickleback, they call it the engineer fish, aquatic ocean dwelling fish, uh, stickleback they call it, and nickname it the engineer fish because it constructs a nice cottage underwater and during reproductive season and attracts, calls the female, shows its nest to the female, so that the female comes and lays its egg in the cottage, then goes away while the male fertilizes the eggs, external fertilization, and becomes a guard so that his kids will not be eaten. Then after it is a burden of the father. The female will never come to see its offspring here. The other is courtship feeding. Some animals engage in sharing food as part of courtship. Imagine they share. Uh, okay, this is about reproductive behavior and social behaviors, especially for those animals that are living socially together. Social behavior patterns are especially seen in animals that live in groups. Yep, group living, not solitary. Social behavior is meaningful for animals that live as a social, as a group, in groups. For example, some insects such as bees, ants, termites. This, of course, the type of sociality that these insects show is sometimes known as eusociality, the true sociality, the true social. Why do we call, what is the criteria for eusociality? One criteria is the fact that there are different individuals in the nest, like in honeybees and termites. The queen is there, the machine to produce eggs, the drone is there, the male that gives sperm, and the others are the workers. Even the workers are of different types. There are guards, the others may go and fetch water or nectar or pollen, whatever. Therefore, some may remain in the hive to serve as nurses, taking care of the larvae. You see, therefore, these are known as eusocials, the true socials. Also in elephants, penguins, this social behavior is seen in elephants. Elephants move together from place to place, graze together. Penguins, these are marine birds, of course. Humans also social, of course. We are not animals. Humans also highly social, and other primates like chimpanzees, bonobos, and gorillas are really social animals. Benefits of social living or social behavior. What does social behavior give to the members, the group? It provides opportunities for learning from each other. When you live as a group together, there is a chance for one to learn from the other. This is one advantage for social behavior. The other is for play. The kids may play, or even the adults may play whenever there is a need. Play is one advantage of living as a social group. The other is for hunting. Yes, for hunting. When you hunt together, it will be easy to hunt a big prey so that the group may share the prey, therefore, for hunting. Also, it simply decreases the chance of individuals being eaten by a predator. If the social animals are prey, imagine zebras. A single zebra moving alone and encountering a lion, its chance of being eaten is 100%. If it is caught, if 10 zebras are moving together and they encounter a lion, each individual in the group, the chance of being eaten is 1/10. 1/10. Imagine, therefore, simply being together in a group socially means it decreases the chance of individuals being eaten by a predator. This is an advantage, yes. Competition, another behavior pattern is competition. Competition for space, territory, water, food, mates, other resources in their environment among animals that coexist in the same environment. You see, in the same environment. Competition usually, of course, most common competition is, of course, the competition which is known as intra-specific competition. Competition between animals of the same species. Why? For the same species to have the same niche or the same, what you say, niche. Everything they do is the same. They do have the same, exactly the same need. The animal they want to eat, if they are predators, and all the reproductive behaviors. So it is intra-specific competition between animals of the same species. When, of course, there are also competitions between organisms, animals of different species, interspecific competition. For example, a lion competes with cheetah because they are both carnivores. Usually, also there is a lion with tiger or leopard. These are two different species. Interspecific competition is competition between animals of different species. Of course, the other behavior pattern that we have seen, territory and territoriality. A territory is a physical space, area, or a geographical area that an animal uh, consistently, continuously, day by day, defends against organisms of the same species. You see, a territory is a physical space or geographical area that an animal, a group of animals, first uh, make it. Okay, they build their territories. You see, when they build their territories, even they mark the boundaries by their waste materials, even chemical, by their urine, urinating here and there. They mark their territories, the boundary of the territory. When other animal comes and smells either the feces or the urine or any other chemical dropped there, that animal knows that this territory has been occupied by another animal. So if he dares to enter into this territory, there may be fierce fight. So don't risk damage. That is signal. You see, therefore, first animals build their territories. They build it. They mark it. The boundary is marked. How do they mark it? By using their feces, their urine, and some other chemical secretions. They could drop it on the ground or on trees. They may urinate on trees so that others may smell this urine and know that it is a territory occupied by others. You see? Then they defend it. If any intruder comes, they defend it against organisms of the same, usually intra-specific competition, the same species. Against, they defend it against, usually against organisms of the same species. Sometimes against animals of other species, of course, it could be interspecific defense, especially when these animals do have the need for the same resource, like the same food resource or the same living space. Possessing a territory gives the holder what is the importance of animals building a territory. Why not? They simply live without building a territory. Why do they build their territory, mark the boundaries, and also defend? They invest energy to defend. Why? Importance. One, enough area, they may provide for themselves enough area to forage for food, which is not touched by other members coming from any other area. Therefore, if you build a territory, that territory may hold enough food to forage for yourself. The other, space for a den or nesting. You are also not only provided with food, but you may get enough space to live in or to build your nests. The other, to get a mate for reproduction. Yes, the male needs the female. Therefore, it builds its territory. No intruder comes. So the females are only for the one that is holding the territory. Therefore, to get a mate for reproduction, and the other reduces overcrowding and competition. This is ecological value. Ecological value, that is overcrowding. If a territory contains too much population, that's not good. If they are grazers, they may overgraze, and the balance of ecosystem is missed. The other is it also reduces competition. Competition helps to maintain healthy population. Yes, having a territory helps to maintain healthy population. Limit the number of population for the ecosystem not to be damaged, and also reduces vulnerability to predators. Having a territory, fixed territory, reduces being vulnerable or exposed to predators feeding them. feeding on them. Okay, this behavior, territoriality, we have been talking about territory, that is a region, geographical area. Territoriality is the behavior, which includes building a territory, marking it, and defending it from intruders. You see, territoriality is the behavior of establishing a territory and defending it from intruders. Animals that actively defend their territories in this way are referred to as being territorial, or they display territorialism. Territorial behavior is found in nearly every animal species, including humans. Imagine when Italians came to invade these East African veteran people in the geography known as Ethiopia. What happened? Big history. The Black History was made. Thanks for Milik, yeah, the big personality of Africa. Therefore, territoriality is even it's human behavior. Of course, humanity uses machineries, warfare, even nuclear weapons. Imagine the most cruel animal, of course. Thus, territoriality is the behavior by which animals establish territory and defend it constantly. Defending territories involves ritualistic displays, showy display, like the animals may show that they are big, they may uh, sound, produce sound which is fearful sound. I'm sure you have seen uh, two dogs fighting for over territory, the appearance. Therefore, defending territories involves ritualistic displays involving marking territories with their scanned markers, patrolling and proclamation. They may go and move around and check for any animal coming into their territories, and also proclamation. They may produce sound and tell if anyone around, I am here, this is my territory type of sounding proclamation. They proclaim it by usually by producing sound that this territory is mine. Some may fight to defend, but usually first fight is the last resort. First, not immediately enter into a direct fight, but first they show off some features, exaggerated features, uh, which can, if the intruder goes away, it can help to prevent the direct fight, of course. Okay, after territory, let's come to home range. There is a term known as home range. This is more commonly an individual or a group of animals occupies an area beyond the territory. That is, that it habitually uses but doesn't necessarily defend. This is called the home range. Home range is the area beyond the territory. You see, you defend only your territory, and the home range, it's not yours. It's not marked. It's uh, above the boundary. You see, you can have this diagram here. You see, the red mark here, the red spot, that is the territory of the animal. The wider green area is a home range. The home ranges of two species may have intersection points, or they marriage. Animals may come out of their territories and meet in the home range. Of course, no problem, they may meet. The home ranges of different groups of animals often overlap, and in these overlap areas, the groups tend to avoid each other rather than seeking to confront and expel each other. They don't fight, of course, over their home range. Okay, they don't fight, of course. And if all the warnings are ignored and come face to face at the border of the territory, you see, we have told you that animals proclaim that the region is theirs. If the proclamation or the sound produced by the owner of the territory is ignored and the intruder comes into the territory of the other animal, they threaten each other with visual displays. Visual, just they may fluff their hairs and appear to be big. Vocalization, some fearful sound they may produce. Exaggerating body, example, fluffing up of feathers or fur. Show off their body weapons. They may show the bearing teeth. Dogs and lions or these carnivores may open their mouths and with sound they may show their sharp pointed carnassial teeth, the canine teeth, and also motions of fighting. They may move fiercely here and there. These are rituals, of course, before the direct fight.